तेषां तथागतो यावत् तेषां च योनिरुक्तं पापि महाश्रमणं धर्म हेतु प्रभव हेतुं तेषां तथागतो तेषां च योनिरोध एवं वाहि महाश्रमम्
भगवत्यै प्रज्ञापारमितायै एवं मया श्रुतम् एकस्मिन् समये भगवान् राजगृहे विहरति स्म। कृत्रकूटे पर्वते महता भिक्षुसङ्घेन सार्धं महता च बोधिसत्त्वसङ्घेन तेन खलु समयेन भगवान् गम्भीरावभासं नाम धर्मपर्याय समाधिं समापन्नः। तेन च समयेन आर्यावलोकितेश्वरो बोधिसत्त्वो महासत्त्वो गम्भीरायां प्रज्ञापारमितायां चर्यायामेव व्यवलोकयति स्म। पञ्चस्कन्धास्तांश्च स्वभावशून्यान् व्यवलोकयति। अथायुष्यमान् चारिपुत्रो बुद्धानुभावेन आर्यावलोकितेश्वरम् बोधिसत्त्वं महासत्त्वम् एतदवोचत्। यः कश्चित् कुलपुत्रो गम्भीरायां प्रज्ञापारमितायां चर्यां चर्तुकामस्तेन कथं शिक्षितव्यम्। एवमुक्त आर्यावलोकितेश्वरो बोधिसत्त्वो महासत्त्व आयुष्यमन्तं शारिपुत्रम् एतदवोचत्। यः कश्चिच्चारिपुत्र कुलपुत्रो वा कुलदुहिता वा गम्भीरायां प्रज्ञापारमितायां चर्यां चर्तुकामस्तेनैवं व्यवलोकयितव्यम्। पञ्चस्कन्धास्तांश्च स्वभावशून्यान् समनुपश्यति स्म। रूपं शून्यथा शून्यतैव रूपम्। रूपान्न पृथक् शून्यथा शून्यतायान पृथक् रूपम्। यद्रूपं सा शून्यताया शून्यता तद्रूपम्। एवं वेदना संज्ञा संस्कार विज्ञानानि च शून्यता। एवं शारिपुत्र सर्वधर्मा शून्यता लक्षणा। अनुत्पन्ना अनिरुद्धा अमला अविमला अनूना असम्पूर्णाः। तस्मात् तर्हि शारिपुत्र शून्यतायां न रूपं न वेदना न संज्ञा न संस्कारा न विज्ञानम्। न चक्षुर्न श्रोत्रं न घ्राणं न जिह्वा न कायो न मनो न रूपं न शब्दो न गन्धो न रसो न स्प्रष्टव्यं न धर्माः। न चक्षुर्धातुर्यावन्न मनोधातुर्न मनो विज्ञानधातुः। न विद्या न विद्याक्षयो यावन्न जरामरणं न जरामरणक्षयः। न दुःखसमुदय निरोधमार्गा न ज्ञानं न प्राप्तिर्न प्राप्तिः। तस्मात् शारिपुत्र अप्राप्तित्वेन बोधिसत्त्वानां प्रज्ञापारमिताम् आश्रित्य विहरति। चित्तावरणनास्तित्वादत्रस्तो विपर्यासातिक्रान्तो निष्ठनिर्वाणः। त्र्यध्वव्यवस्थिताः सर्वबुद्धाः प्रज्ञापारमिताम् आश्रित्य अनुत्तरां सम्यक् सम्बोधिम् अभिसम्बुद्धाः। तस्मात् ज्ञातव्यः प्रज्ञापारमिता मन्त्रो महाविद्या मन्त्रो नुत्तरमन्त्रो समसममन्त्रः। सर्वदुःखप्रशमनमन्त्रः। सत्यम् अमिथ्यत्वात् प्रज्ञापारमिताया मुक्तो मन्त्रः। तद्यथा ॐ गते गते पारगते पारसंगते बोधि स्वाहा। एवं शारिपुत्र बोधिसत्त्वेन महासत्त्वेन गम्भीरायां प्रज्ञापारमितायां शिक्षितव्यम्। अथ खलु भगवान् तस्मात् समाधेर्व्यूत्थायार्यावलोकितेश्वराय बोधिसत्त्वाय महासत्त्वाय साधुकारमदात्। साधु साधु कुलपुत्र एवं एतत् कुलपुत्र एवं एतत् गम्भीरायां प्रज्ञापारमितायां चर्तव्यं यथा त्वया निर्दिष्टम्। अनुमोद्यते तथागतैरपि। इदमवोचद् भगवान् आत्मना आयुष्मान् शारिपुत्र। आर्यावलोकितेश्वरश्च बोधिसत्त्वो महासत्त्वः। सा च सर्वावती पर्षत् सदेव मानुषासुरगन्धर्वश्च लोको भगवतो भाषितम् अभ्यनन्दन् भगवती प्रज्ञा पारमिता हृदयं नाम महायानसूत्रं समाप्तम्
Geshe-la, you're on mute, Geshe-la. We can't hear you.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Geshe-la, thank you.
Okay. So thank you for the whole team, the CCL team for this beautiful rendition of the Heart Sutra of the chant, Sanskrit. And now let me recite one verse, praise to Buddha Shakyamuni, and with the invocation of the all Buddhist Bodhisattvas, His Holiness. Bless everybody to have wisdom, to have the universal compassion, so the world is going to be a better world. Family, in family settings, in the community settings, and national and international. Ange dhuze nyezo ne dawa tamche bambe shu tambe shu ne dunze ba bodam dela chase. Ranja suna wana dobe meke san taba dobe zhong shu zewe gyube tabe zeba yin seze shenye namla bucha se. With my salutation to all Buddhist Bodhisattvas, teachers. And here's with great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. So this verse indicates two qualities of the Buddha. One, the quality of compassion, which is indicated by the first line, enthused by great compassion. And second quality is the wisdom to see the reality as it is, so that darkness of ignorance is eradicated and your tears stop. You can help stop the tears from all other sentient beings by showing the wisdom to dispel the perverted views to you, the Buddha Dharma. So now I'll say this verse in Tibetan and then the Buddha mantra recites Tibetan. 마하모나의 선 어머니 어머니 마하모나의 선 어머니 어머니 마하모나의 선 어머니 어머니 마하모나의 선 마삼주메시라 바르지 나제미가 나경고에 소소라니 시주가 뜻음중에 용도 차세로 에어서 봄가대 가대 아라가대 아라삼가대 bodhisvatyata ongate gate aragate arasamgate bodhisvatyata ongate gate aragate arasamgate bodhisvaha. Okay, online participants, can you see the screen sharing?
Yes, Geshe-la, we can see it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so before I jump into this, the main part, which is in the first place, what is the brain and mind relationship? Just to speak about what is brain, what is mind, very quickly, and then go into more details as to say what is the responses to this question from the different sectors. First, let me just create the platform for us. Is that it was no 1988. How many of you are not born then? Raise hands. 1988. Many of you are not born. Okay. So that was 1988. I graduated from class 12, high school CBSE, and I was thinking becoming a physicist. I mentioned this yesterday. And then my mind changed to join the philosophy in the Institute of Buddhist Analytics, where the whole philosophy, psychology, logic were taught. And my teacher, Venerable Geshe Losang Geshe, he was an exceptional great Buddhist, brilliantly compassionate, and a great philosopher. And he did not have any modern education, but look at his say the mindset, his way of thinking, is extremely broad, so profound. And there was one lady, American lady, doctor, and he invited him to give a lecture on neuroscience to his students. We were about 100 monks. And he asked me to be the translator, because that the majority of the monks, they did not speak English. And I just came from school with English background. So he asked me. So I learned a little bit about the brain in my school days. I was 11. I was 12, I dropped biology because I was interested in physics and mathematics. So biology I dropped. And just for a little bit of digression, break the ice. What happened was that my math teacher, when I was in class 12, my math teacher, one day, he said something. It amused me and confused me. What he said was that, why did you drop biology? The math teacher, not a biology teacher. Why are you concerned that I dropped biology? And I was confused. Why he's saying this? Later, I came to learn that the biology teacher, he doesn't want me to drop biology. The biology teacher was coming to me through the math teacher. Okay. So which means that I didn't get a chance to study in more detail about the brains in class 12 and dropped to biology. Class 11 till 11, I took biology, what do you call it, PMC, PCM, PCM PCMB. So I took the PCM plus biology. And my teacher in IVD, Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, my teacher, he asked me to be the translator. I was translating, and I tried my best to make sure that I get as much as from the lecture on neuroscience, that I'd be able to impart as much to the listeners. And meanwhile, I was literally amazed, thrilled by this lecture. One, I was so attentively listening to this, and I was curious about all this. And I was so thrilled. The brain that I learned when I was class 10, 11 was very basic. What this lady, doctor, is teaching is very sophisticated. How the language is connected with the part of the brain, the emotion, and the thrilled. And that night, literally, I could not have slept, because to this young boy who was 20 years old then, if this is how the brain works, where is the mind? This is the question. If there's no mind, why should I become a monk? Why should I have to study philosophy? The philosophy and joining the monastery is with the belief that there's a future life. So if there's no future life, if there's no mind separate from the brain, where's the future life? If there's no future life, what's the point of what are you doing? So that was it shook me totally. It shook my faith and shook me everything. And then I told myself that, Dorji, now you start a new journey. Don't think that you're a Buddhist. Don't think that you're a Buddhist. now start a new journey. But I did not tell anybody. Same monastery studying. Luckily, and some of you already know that the monasteries, there are two kinds. One is where the ritual is emphasized and where the other academic monasteries. So the monastery to which I belong to, and that is academic monastery. So lucky that this was the crisis in my life. But the first time in life, it shook my faith. And lucky that this institution, the monastery, was providing a course on psychology. And that too by this brilliant psychologist and logician, Acharya Dharmakirti, who I started yesterday. And today, a major part of what I am going to share with you is his thoughts. His book, Pramana Chapter 2, I would say from all the materials that I've seen thus far, this is the best material on establishing a rebirth. Because many people share stories. I don't deny the stories. At the same time, I don't take stories too seriously. The stories can be true, can be cooked up. We never know. But the rationality that that Acharya Dharmakirti came up with, these can last for hundreds and thousands of years. Because these are the solid facts. These are not stories. Okay. So this one part. So this is my personal journey. So what made me really go into this journey, and it's not that easy. I remember that say some of the points which I'm going to share with you today, and maybe some of them tomorrow also, along with what Acharya Dharmakirti taught. I'm going to just share two of them mixed so that the Acharya Dharmakirti was a brilliant psychologist and philosopher and logician. At times you may feel lost that what he's sharing, what he's teaching us, it can be very sophisticated and we may get lost. So then I may mix up my thoughts and which came to me over the years. And one time it was in Japan. His Holiness the Dalai Lama was giving teaching, and then I was translating. His Holiness, and of course, it was the main audience was Japanese, so therefore the main audience was the Japanese. The main translator was the Japanese translator, and then I was sitting next to the translator. Because His Holiness, he speaks in English, and there are many people who understand English, so I was there as the English translator when necessary. And that was the time more like I was in the peak of my this quest that is also brain and mind. And every time he makes some points, and I note them in a small diary like this. And after His Holiness teaching, His Holiness got off the seat and asked me, what were you making? What were you writing down? What are you scripting? His Holiness has a very sharp eyes, saying there are hundreds of thousands of people who scan you in 2 seconds. Believe it or not, it's amazing. Just like this, he has seen everybody. Literally, I'm not saying that he's a Buddha, he's an enlightened being. No, literally, he has seen everybody. You see the people who he knows from last many years, he would identify who are they, where they. Just scan like this. So then I told His Holiness that I'm scripting the points with regard to the paradox of brain and mind. Well, whenever His Holiness says something about this on this topic, I make sure that I make note of that. Okay, so there's a little bit of the information. Now, to jump into this main point about the paradox of brain and mind, this is a very important issue. And I did mention this yesterday. They're talking to the physicist. The physicist saying that if you don't explore the deeper realities, then there's no point in you having a brilliant mind, brilliant brain. Because then what? Your job is just to fill your stomach. Anybody can fill the stomach. It doesn't require a brilliant brain. So a brilliant brain should do something which ordinary people cannot do. Like what? To explore whether or not rebirth exists. This is a very important point I made, and he was considering that very seriously. So having said this, the point is that first, what is brain? What is mind? This is one thing that we need to know. And of course, don't think that I'm a neuroscientist. I'm not a neuroscientist. I'm interested in neuroscience, but I'm not a neuroscientist. But it also means that we have zero clue of what the neuroscience is saying. Okay, so let's explore what is brain, what is mind, and see if you agree with what I'm sharing. And if you don't agree, raise hands. If you need clarification, raise hands. If you need more contemplation, take your time. Okay, the point is that that let's say that say I ask you to think of yourself as a little girl, age 2 or age 3, or a little boy, age 2, age 3, and then your mother is cuddling you, embracing you with so much love. Yeah. Just, I ask you to think of that. No word, don't utter a word. Just think of that. And then I give you to a neuroscientist. And a neuroscientist would have no clue what you're thinking. A neuroscientist would put you in the fMRI scan. And then what he sees is just some brain waves and neural firings. You can see that. And that doesn't mean anything. Don't forget it. Don't think that neuroscience can explain everything. If you come with the expectation, then the whole analysis will be meaningless. Because we have to know what is ASA, what is BSB. You're getting it? Don't mix up ASB, BSA, and everything is same. No. So neuroscience, as of now, it has developed a lot, but it has still ways to go. Don't forget it. So I give you to the neuroscientist, and neuroscientist put you in the fMRI scan. How many you can imagine that? Yes, that's possible. Results. Good. Now, the neuroscientist, what will he or she see? He or she will see your brain waves, plus, let's say, the parts where your brain is activated, neural firings happening. He or she will see that. But that neural firing doesn't mean anything. Neural firing doesn't mean that you are thinking of a rose, you're thinking of beautiful flower, you are thinking of anger. Nothing. It doesn't mean anything. So now here, what we need to, from this, we can get a clear picture. What is brain? What is mind? Okay. So neuroscientists can see something, including the brain parts, brain waves, and the neural firings, the transmission of the neurotransmitters. This is what he or she is seeing. So that part which neuroscientist is seeing is the brain, which you cannot see. You cannot see your brain. When the fMRI scan, but you cannot see your brain. You're getting it? So that part which you cannot see, which the neuroscientist can see, including not only brain structure, but also the brain waves and the neural firings, and that the neurotransmitters be transmitted from one neuron to the other. So that part is which you cannot see, which neuroscientists get to see, that is your brain. Now you have the first-hand experience that, okay, I'm thinking of my mother cutting me as a little girl, little boy. That thought is a first-hand experience, your first-hand experience, which the neuroscientists cannot see in you. And whereas you have undeniably had this thought, and you know that. That part is your mind, which neuroscientists cannot see, which you have the first-hand experience. That is your mind, which neuroscientists cannot see, which you have the first-hand experience. That is your mind, which you cannot see, which neuroscientists can see. That is your brain. This is distinction. You getting it? Then but still it doesn't answer the question whether these two are one or different. It doesn't answer the question. At the most, what we have discovered is that we get some sense what is brain, what is the mind. You get some sense. Mind, which is intangible. Your eyes cannot see your mind, but still you can have a direct empirical experience of what you're thinking. But the neuroscientists have no clue what's going on. And then some people may be a little naive to say, that, who knows, neuroscientists may be knowing. No. The reason why they don't know is that I suggested yesterday to read Professor Michio Kaku's book, The Future of the Mind. You should read this book. In this book, he talks about creating dictionaries of the mental functions. What is the function of the mind? Say, what are the brain correlates of the mental functions? So this is what you can find it, and this is a fact. This is not what he's just exaggerating. So you read that part, you will see that how the neuroscientists, they're creating the dictionary of the neural correlates of the workings of the mind mental functions. So why dictionary? Because that what is this? What is in mind? For example, say you try to ask, okay, now brainwave is happening. What does it mean by that? You don't do things like this. You firsthand, you know that there's some that I am thinking of myself as a little girl, a little boy in arms of my mom. You have the first-hand experience. But the neuroscientists just see the brain waves, some part of the brain being activated, neurofiring is happening. So they don't know what that means. So now they create a dictionary. Okay, when this part of the brain is activated, so hey, what are you thinking? The neuroscientists ask the guinea pig, or you as a guinea pig, ask, what are you thinking? Oh, I'm thinking of my mother cuddling me. Oh, this part of the brain is activated. Now you mark, okay, this part of the brain is activated. It means they say you are a thought of the mother cuddling you. You're getting it? This is how the dictionary is made. For example, say they say, okay, let's say, okay, tell me, is it true or not? I have luncheon in my pocket. Is it true or not? Is it a true of the correct statement or wrong statement? I have luncheon in my pocket. Wrong statement or correct statement? I don't know. Why not? Okay, say that so because it's in my pocket, so therefore it's not visible to you. Okay, so the Pune University is in my pocket. Is a correct statement, wrong statement? You're not seeing it, what is in my pocket. Right? Although you're not seeing what is in my pocket, but you are 100% sure that Pune University is not in my pocket. You're getting it? It's not necessary. You should see what's in my pocket to know if the statement is correct or not correct. So therefore, luncheon is in my pocket. Correct statement, wrong statement. What happened? Hey, Punewara, what happened? Wrong statement or correct statement? Wrong statement. The best answer is we still don't know. Why do you don't know? Huh? Huh? Anyone give me a nice answer so that I'll be very happy. So that not only that I'll be happy, so that they say that I can see that you are the right person to listen to this paradoxal brain mind. Right? And to know that you should have some degree of IQ, right? So when the IQ is low, no. Okay, tell me. Huh? You can't experience. How do you know that you can't experience it? It's in my pocket. Okay, so you trust whatever I said. So Pune University in my pocket. You trust me. Okay, still the answer is not clear. The girl over there? Good. No? Sharmilaji? This is the answer. I don't know what is Langshan. I don't know what you mean by Langshan. You getting it? If you don't know what Langshan is, then you don't know whether it fits, whether it's in my pocket or not. Right? So Langshan means elephant. It's a Tibetan word. Okay, now Langshan, I have Langshan in my pocket. Correct, not correct? Incorrect. You getting it? Incorrect. Okay. So therefore, the point is that what I'm saying is that to know the to know that there's no Langshan in my pocket, you have to know what Langshan means. So now the next question is the brain and mind. Brain and mind, we loosely understand that brain is a solid entity which is visible, which neuroscientists can see very clearly, but the mind, neuroscientists cannot see, and the brain, your brain, you cannot see, but neuroscientists can see, and your mind, neuroscientists cannot see, but you can see. And the neuroscientists, to know what's going in your mind, they create dictionaries. So now, in future, what will you do? Okay, somebody says that, okay, I've launched in my pocket, say, after 10 years. What happened? Your memory shuts down slowly, right? Oh, about 10 or 20 years ago in Pune University, when I was there, somebody came from Tibetan or Tibet something, what is Dorji or something, Gashe, Gishi, something came, and he said something like this, Langshan or Lungshan, something. He said something, is it the same? You're getting it? And then you check your note from 10 years ago note. You check it. Yes, he said Langshan, right? So Langshan means what? You check it. What is that? 11. You create a dictionary already in your book. Langshan means 11. You're getting it? And then you say it is not in your pocket. And how do you know? Langshan means elephant. How do you know Langshan means elephant? Because in the dictionary, I created this dictionary 10 years ago. So this is how the neuroscientists create dictionary. You're getting it? The fact that dictionary has to be created means neuroscientists, they don't have the first-hand experience of what's going in your mind. You're getting it? These are the empirical facts. These are not stories. These are not just abstract concepts. Okay. This is one thing that we need to know, the distinction between the brain and the mind. And how the neuroscientists, they cannot see your mind. It's because of this that they are creating dictionaries of the brain correlates of your mental function. Okay, so having said this, saying the text composed by Acharya Dharmakirti, which I'm going to share with you, not all, I just selected some of these parts which are more with the rebirth concept. So this is something which I picked up, and at times they can become a little technical. Then I will swap. I will mix with my thoughts, contemplations, which will be a little easier. Of course, Acharya Dharmakirti, a brilliant philosopher and logician, and the psychologist, and then of course his thoughts. They are so refined that this hardware may not be so good to entertain this sophisticated software. You're getting it? Is there any from IT? Presents from IT? 1, 2, 3. So IT people understand what I'm saying. You're getting it? Say, we need to Kunal, upgrade our hardware. Simply because you do not understand, it doesn't make sense to you at the moment, doesn't mean that the software is hopeless. Which means hardware needs to be upgraded so that the software, very sophisticated software, Acharya Dharmakirti, can work very effectively and make sense to you. Okay. So for this, now to talk about the rebirth. Talk about rebirth. If there is a rebirth, let's not start by saying that there's rebirth. Then the whole purpose is defeated. Rebirth means there's mind different from the brain. If there is rebirth, we have to start with this. And His Holiness, that there are some of the anecdotes I like to share with you because that I've seen that with my own eyes. I heard it in my own ears, and which they say people who do not get the chance to hear these things from brilliant thinkers like His Holiness, is our responsibility to share these thoughts. Should this what I witnessed? There's one brilliant neuroscientist and a biologist, Professor Francisco Varela, and who, with His Holiness, started the first conference on Mind and Life Institute, Mind and Life Conference. So now it is developed into Mind and Life Institute. It started with the Mind and Life Conference, and you must watch these. Still, the recording is available. You can just Google search. You can get these. These are very extremely meaningful. Rather than going through this hours and hours of Instagram, Facebook, wasting your time, just watch these. Will really help you to grow in your thinking. So this conference was now instituted. Was started by His Holiness and Professor Francisco Varela, a brilliant neuroscientist and a biologist, and along with the businessman by the name Adam Engel. Three of them started this program, and they say I was just 19. I was just 21 or 22 years old when I first got a chance to attend this conference. The presence of His Holiness and Professor Francisco Varela and many other scientists. And I was just 21, 22 years old, and where my thinking was very immature, very young. But I had the honor. And of course, His Holiness was very different. Professor Francisco Varela, when he speaks, everybody is listening to him with great attention. I couldn't understand anything what he was saying. And later on, my own teacher, Venerable Geshe Bande Thakur Saudi, he still is there. He is now 93 years old. And the first conference, which happened in 1987, I think, and my teacher was also invited there because my teacher is one of the most brilliant musicians and psychologists. And later, after many years, perhaps like after 10 years, I got a chance. Then I was introduced, I got a chance to receive teaching from my teacher. And my teacher, because he was there and he knew that I was from science background. And my teacher would be so happy to communicate, to talk to me. And I asked him questions, he would answers. And then he reminded me of his first encounter with this conference, Mind Life Conference. And he said that there's one young scientist. You're getting it, look. There's one young scientist. He is exceptionally brilliant. Who was that? Professor Francisco Varela. When I was introduced, after then few years, almost 10 years of my studies in philosophy, psychology, logic, so forth, when I started to understand these complicated issues more clearly, then when I was listening to Professor Francisco Varela's some of the video recordings, he talks about the nature of the reality and so forth. is mind-blowing. He's a natural philosopher, on top of being a neuroscientist as well as a biologist. So what I'm saying is that so there on this conference, this is so you must check this, visit this website, and listen to this recording. Okay, so now His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Look at how the realistic, objective. These are things that we need to learn. Or just, say what we learn from some religious tradition, say Mahayana, Theravada, or this tradition, that tradition, and then just you omit what you've learned, not knowing, what you. So that doesn't really work. So what we need to do, particularly in the academic, the settings, is very important to whatever you say something which makes sense to you, which you are confident. So His Holiness, why I'm sharing all these things is for us to be very objective in our approach, particularly when we analyze the reality. Reality means don't come up with your baggage of belief system. You'll never see the reality. To see the reality, you should come very clean mind that anything is possible. That is the need. That's how we can be objective. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama is extremely objective in his approach. So Professor Francis Varela, he passed away. He passed away to cancer. He passed away. And then there are many very beautiful anecdotes in between. I don't want to go through length. And there were some group of people who wanted to make a documentary film on Professor Francis Varela. So knowing that Professor Francisco Varela was very close friend of His Holiness, so they came to interview His Holiness as a part of this documentary. Then they asked His Holiness. So these people are all the white people, Westerners. They asked His Holiness, Your Holiness, please tell us, Professor Francisco Varela, where he must have taken rebirth. Which means taken for granted there's rebirth. Or taken for granted that His Holiness would accept rebirth. His Holiness is extremely objective, meaning that who's the audience? His Holiness will speak based on the audience, because that this person on whom the documentary film is made is a scientist. So therefore, we should not mix up two things: the scientific thoughts and the religious beliefs systems. Don't mix up. What His Holiness said is that if rebirth exists, you're getting it? He didn't say that, oh, he has taken rebirth like this. No, he didn't say, if rebirth exists, if. He's not saying, in a way, he's encouraging us not to mix up the two ideas. Don't take for granted that it exists. If rebirth exists, then he will come again as an analyst. So amazed by this answer, because look at how objective he is, His Holiness. So this should be the learning, how to be objective in an approach. So if rebirth exists, then how do you explain it? If rebirth exists, don't say that rebirth exists. If the rebirth exists, how can we explain it? So what we have, okay, I'm empirically speaking, don't mix up the thought. And then later on, you want to mix the thoughts, you can mix the thoughts later on. At the moment, start clean slate, yesterday, today, and tomorrow for 3 days. Come with just very clean slate, and whatever your thoughts, keep them aside. Don't mix them up. No need to reject your earlier thoughts. Keep them there. They can be very useful in your future inquiries. So, if rebirth exists, what we have, for example, let's say that I'm a male, which means the body is male, and I am compassionate. I'm not compassionate. I'm intelligent. I'm not intelligent. And my mind is restless. No, my mind is very calm. Or I'm lazy. Oh, no, I'm not lazy. I'm very alert all the time. So these are all the mental qualities. say, oh, I don't know physics too much. I don't neuroscientist. I learn a little bit of neuroscience. It's all your knowledge, cognitive knowledge, qualities. So we see that what you as a person say, there are two things. One, you describe yourself as male, female, Indians, Tibetans, and so forth, based on your body. And the other, you describe yourself in the form of your qualities, like I know this, I know that, I'm a PhD holder, I'm not a PhD holder, I'm fond of football, not so much of the academics. I'm fond of academics, not so much of football. I'm more into the music and the art. So all these are your mental qualities. So we see that you, in the empirical speaking, okay, then on the what do you call it, on the esoteric level, then you can talk about anything else. But on the empirical level, we see that any sensible person, on the empirical level, we see that we are nothing but made of the body and mind. And then we describe ourselves based on the qualities of the body or the qualities of the mind. Now, if this is the case, then if there is rebirth, the body will not go to the next birth, 100%. The body will not travel to the next life. The body, say, will be buried. Whatever belief system that you have, whatever belief system, final judgment or whatever, the body will be left behind. That's for sure. And then if you for too long, then the body will decompose, right? So I'm not talking about any religious system. I'm just talking about this reality. The body will decompose. For example, the pyramids. In the pyramids, you discover these coffins. 1,000 years, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years, you discover these coffins. And these coffins, they open it and then see the dead bodies, the mummies. You agree? These are the facts. Let us not be emotional. Let us not be carried by the emotions. Okay, oh, this is blasphemous. No, this is reality. Now the anthropologists, they open the coffins. In those days, it's highly sanctified, and nobody's allowed, even to go close by these coffins. The great king, great Alexander, so forth. And now, what? People even have no clue who this person was, right? But they got a sense that this person must be somebody who's being respected so much. In those days, look at the gold mask over the body, how it was mummified. But now they check, they open your nose and everything. They check. So this is reality. So with this, what I'm saying is that so this is your body. Body doesn't travel to the next life. Don't talk about rebirth with respect to the body. This is reality. How many of you would agree with me? This is a fact. The body will not travel. If at all there's rebirth, it should be the mind that travels. Now, the question is whether or not there's a mind which is different from the body, including the brain. So now the question comes, whether or not the brain and the mind, these two are different. You're getting it? This is where the paradox of brain and mind comes into play. In order to explain or in order to account for the reality, for the question, whether or not there is rebirth, then this question comes. And it's a very important question. Whereas if you're not interested in whether there's rebirth, it doesn't matter. Whether there's no rebirth, it's fine. If this is your attitude, then this topic is totally irrelevant. Totally irrelevant, but still people can still inquire, although you're not interested in the rebirth concept, but still you can inquire as a part of your academic inquiry, academic research. But for those people who, okay, if there's rebirth, then I'm not prepared. So I have to prepare. For example, say the small children, they want to keep playing on the playground. And the elders will continue to push the child to go to school. Because the elders can see what is after 10 years, what after 20 years. Small children, they always in the playgrounds because they don't see what is tomorrow, what is after 10 years, what 20 years. So the elders, they can see further away in time. And therefore they are preparing you for that. But the young ones, little ones, they don't see what is 10 years later, 20 years later. So therefore they are not ready to prepare themselves for that. So people who do, if they get a conviction that there's rebirth, then they'll start planning for the next life. So whereas if you have no conviction in rebirth, then you will not plan. And then if rebirth is there, it's very scary. Because if the child is not prepared, the parents also don't take care of the children's education. The child says that, okay, I want to play. Then the parents also say, yes, you can play. Then by the time the child reaches age 20, the child will blame the parents. Getting it? Okay. So therefore, this topic becomes a very important topic for us if you really want to know whether or not there is rebirth. And the Asian traditions, most of them, except for Charvaka, most of the Asian traditions, belief systems, they have this concept of rebirth. And I learned that even Egyptian civilization, they also have to believe in rebirth. So, so now for this question, the brain and mind, if there's rebirth, the body, there's no room for the body to travel to the next life. The body will be gone. Then, if at all there's a rebirth, it should be your mind which travels to the next. Now, next, if there's a mind, whether or not there's a mind which is different from the brain, because the brain is part of the body. When the body is burned, brain is burned. When the body is buried, the brain is also buried. It's gone. It'll decompose, it'll become a part of the soil. And the plants will suck you up in the form of nutrients. Done. And somebody else will eat the plants, apples, and they become the part of the person's body. Whoever eats the apple, right? So we must have eaten the apples, which was not the nutrients of many hundreds of the corpses. Yeah, that's true. Don't feel that's very scary. No, this is a reality. So that's reality, right? Okay. So with this in mind, now the question is whether or not there's a mind which is different from the brain. Okay. So for this, I'm a first. I don't want to take you to the this one. What do I call it? The technical side. Actually, let me this text right away. I would rather go to the. Okay, this is the part which I promised yesterday. Oh, by the way, those that back, can you read? Okay, good. The problem. Okay, those here, can you see? Those there, good. Okay, so the most important thing is that we should be able to read. And the pictorials, that's easy, you can just see that easily. But the letters, you should be able to see, to read what is written there. So this is the purpose, where Albert Einstein, he identifies all the human crises related to your thinking, wrong thinking. This wrong thinking he calls as the optical delusion. And the optical delusion, with this he calls it as a mental imprisonment of us. So just let me quickly read this, and then the saying, see if we can look for the two things. One, go through the academic, the rigor, plus the real life, and the skills, developing real life skills of compassion. Two things, you can bring the two together. So a human being is a part of the whole by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He or she experiences themselves, their thoughts and feelings as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of their consciousness. This delusion or the ignorance is a kind of prison for us. So I and you, my religion and your religion, my nation and your nation. me and my neighbor. This creating this division. This is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and affection for a few persons nearest to us. Now, what should we do? If you don't want to be in the prison, if you don't want to suffer, what should we do? Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Einstein is not saying what's the solution. He does not say the solution is E of MC squared. He does not say that. He said, increase your circle of compassion. Widen the circle of compassion. This is who Albert Einstein is. In other words, we need two things. We need to sharpen our intelligence and we need to also grow our compassion. These two things. Then you become a complete happy person. Whereas you have the compassion, no intelligence, no wisdom. You're half. You have intelligence, but no compassion. You're half. Why half? Because the community may see that, oh, this person is very educated, but this person will not help you. And they will not, when you need help, nobody will come to help you, and you suffer. Whereas if you have compassion, but no intelligence, then people love you, but then you don't know how to give help to them because you don't have the intelligence. So if you have both, you become a complete happy person. So this is what Albert Einstein is referring to. Okay, now I will rush meaning I will go to some of my screens first. Okay, Charu, can you help me? Okay, it's here. So what should we go to show the screens? Screen pieces here. You don't know? Just not there is okay, it should be small pieces on screen. Okay, this PDF, right? Okay, don't worry, it's fine. Okay, so now I'll quickly go through this. This is better. Yes, I understand you. Okay, there are many as the screen, what is this? Slides. These will be discussed later. For example, I'll jump to some of the points which. Okay, I'll begin from this. Okay, those are guys. Can you read? Okay. There's one book by Professor Eric Kandel, and he is a Nobel laureate in medicine. He's a Nobel laureate in physiology, and Nobel laureate, I think, 2004. It was 4 Nobel laureate. This book, In Search of Memory. To read this book, in the opening passages, he came up with 2 hypotheses. The first, he says that according to the belief of the neuroscientists today, the first hypothesis, mind does not exist at all. Mind does not exist at all. Number 2 hypothesis is the mind does exist, but it is emergent property of the brain. The mind does exist. It is the emergent property of the brain. For example, like light bulb and the light. Where there's light bulb, the light comes out. Light bulb breaks, the light is gone. So emergent property. It comes out with this. When the brain dies, the mind disappears. There's no separate mind. Okay. So these are the 2 hypotheses. So most of you know hypothesis means, of course, it's not proven. It's just a belief system. Because, as I said earlier, that neuroscience is still a developing science, it's still developing. And physics, still developing. And of course, it has come to a great height of development. Still, we never know how far it'll go with respect to development. But neuroscience, of course, is only about like 100 years that it has developed to a great extent. Still, it has a lot to go. So these two are the hypotheses. So we have to know that the what are different thoughts, so that you become very objective in your approach. Objective, and then your approach can become really realistic. If you write from the beginning, say the only one point of view, oh, there's rebirth, everybody's very happy, and then somebody says, how do you know? There's no mind. Get out. And if this is the approach, you will never see the reality. So we have to know that these belief systems are there, and that too not from the ordinary people like us, the neuroscientists, and that to mainstream neuroscience today. It true. This is their belief. Okay, we have to, and I would highly suggest that you must read this book, and you're really interested in the brain-mind relationship. So for this book would be very, very helpful. And the for me, how I came to know about this book, I didn't even know who was Eric Kandel. And what happened was that was in 2008, right? 11:30. 11. Okay, let's stop here for break. Tea break. Tea break? Yes. Okay. Yes. Already confused with that information, but just the green brochure is of a college course, for instance, the yellow one is an upcoming course starting in
Online sometime.
John Brothers.
Sorry.
Yes. Okay, welcome back. In fact, I would say that while we can mix up the technical topics and technical subject less with some of the questions coming from the audience that will give us a little bit of the what I call it break to set a mind. Okay. One question is okay. I think this may be a quick thing, more relevant moment. What it says is that how to find the purpose of this life and how to differentiate between the thought of mind and the thoughts of the brain. How to find the purpose of it. Let me be very quick. Again, I plead to you that don't just listen what I'm sharing with you. Don't accept it. Don't reject it. This is what I would say. And then take it away and subject that to analysis. And if you find it the sensible, take it. If you don't find it sensible, if you're 100% sure it's not sensible, dump it. And if you're not sure, upgrade your hardware. So this is how we should be doing. So what's the purpose of life? To this question, one lady yesterday who had a very interesting question. Listen today. I know this is your question. I know. No, there's another lady who was saying somewhere here. Okay. Was that the lady asked some questions yesterday, and which are very interesting, and she said that she has many more such questions. Oh, you're here. Your name? Priya, yes. Okay, so what's the purpose of life? I'm going to quickly share because there's so much materials for us to cover. And to look for the purpose of life, don't look for the purpose of life like outside. Getting it? And let me quickly share one story. And then apply this to your own life. There was a man who was looking for his lost key under the street light. Let me repeat it. There was a man who was looking for his lost key under the street light. And there were passers-by who sympathized with him and asked, What are you looking for? He said, I'm looking for my lost key. And the passers-by, they also helped this man looking for the key under the street light. And the passers-by, they couldn't find the key. They double-checked with the person, asked, are you sure you lost the key under the street light? He said, no. Where did you lose your key? He said, I lost it in my house. Why are you looking here then? He said that because in my house there's no light. You're getting it? Okay, so there is lost in the house, you search it in the house. So the purpose of life is not outside, it's inside. You look for outside. You're getting it? Okay, so what is that purpose of life which is inside? Don't accept blindly. Don't reject it. Listen. And then see how true that is. It can take time, a year, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years to realize. You may even not realize at all. You may say it's very garbage, dump it. Okay, so the purpose of life actually is, say, day when you are born. Day when you're born, you are born crying. Crying, seeking something. Get to what? That you're cold, hungry, or you feel the slap of somebody who slapped you, you feel the pain. So this is what tells you that day when you're born, you cannot articulate what's going in your mind, what's the purpose of life, but you don't want suffering. That was the day one of your experience. You don't want suffering. So to tell the world, there's an instinctive feature within your mind to tell the world that I am suffering. That is shedding tears. That is shedding tears. To tell the world that I'm suffering, I'm in pain. So in other words, to tell the world that I don't want pain. I don't want pain. So the purpose is to get rid of the pain as much as possible. If possible, make it zero. That's the purpose of life. And they say the children, if their birthday is, okay, maybe here, the youngest one, yeah, two girls are gone. You are the youngest one here. How old are you? 21. 25. You are 21. That's amazing. Okay, is there anybody who's younger than 20? 22. There's 21 also. Who's that? Okay, 21. Or let's say the say your birthday. You're happy with your birthday? The boy there, birthday, okay. You like birthday? So. Okay, so the girl, you like your birthday? You're looking forward to that? The same, that today's your birthday, tomorrow's your exam. You want your birthday to extend it, right? So do you agree with me there, with that? That with the happiness, you want to expand it as much as possible. Is this who you are? If you belong to this category, which means your life, the purpose of life is very simple. To minimize your miseries, to expand your happiness. For example, different religious traditions are there. Guru Nanak Ji, Ram, Prophet Muhammad, Jesus Christ, Lord Mahavir, Baha'u'llah, and Zoroaster, or the Buddha, and the non-believers. So you see that these different religious systems, their job is finally to give you happiness, to help you expand your happiness. In some cases, we'll say that, okay, you'll take birth in heaven, and then you the happiness. Give the happiness. So they come up with different notions of the happiness. In other words, what is common to all is that to maximize your happiness and to minimize your miseries. This is the purpose of life. And can we really do that? Can my happiness be maximized to 100%? That miseries be minimized to 0? Can I do that? Answer is, Charles Darwin said, no, you cannot do that. And Buddha said, yes. Many teachers of Asia, they said, teachers meaning the prophets or the founders of different religions. The answer is yes. Now, what we are learning here is, if the answer is yes, how can I empirically know that without having to believe in a system? Without having to just believe in a tradition, how can I really know that empirically? For example, what happened was that one early morning at 6 o'clock, I received a phone call from one lady. And she said that, Geshe-la, I'm going to give up Buddhism. She said, I'm serious, I'm going to give up Buddhism. I said, why? And then she's again saying that I'm going to give up. So she wants me to ask her why. And I said, why? And she said, all these last 3 years, I've been praying to Buddha, I've been praying to Tara. My prayers were never answered. And I asked, what is your prayer? And she said, my prayer is that my brother should get a job. In the last 3 years, he didn't get a job. I said, okay, now I know why you become a Buddhist. Because you wanted a job for your brother. And you want the Buddha to be the employer. This is why you become a Buddhist. Now, I told her that if you want your brother to get a job, don't become a Buddhist. Why? If you are hungry, don't become a Buddhist, go to kitchen. If you're sick, don't become a Buddhist, go to hospital. If you want to have your brother a job, don't become a Buddhist. Tell your brother, don't go to the pubs. Don't go to nightclubs. Study well. Sit for the competitive exams. Crack the exams and get a decent job. You don't become a Buddhist. We should be very realistic. Just looking for inappropriate cause and expecting a wonderful result is totally realistic. This is what I told her. Okay, so with this in mind, the next question is whether or not we can have this happiness maximized to 100% and the miseries minimized to 0. Whether or not it's possible. And Charles Darwin said it's not possible. And he gave his own reasons, which I explained before. And the Buddha said, yes, it's possible. Not only Buddha, many the teachers of different religions also said it's possible. And then empirically, how do we know it's possible? This is a serious question. So for that, we need to know that you have the potential. It's not that the Buddha is holding some divine power and then showering on you. You have the potential. That potential remains hidden. Because of that, you are not seeing this, like Mulamota River. You're getting it? However dirty the river is, deep inside, there's a purity there. There's purity there. Naturally, it's pure. Remove the dirt, that purity will come out. That's the real, that's the true nature. Likewise, your mind, you remove all the mental dirt. Like what? Gross garlic-like afflictive obscurations and the subtle smell-like cognitive obscurations. Remove them, and your mind will, all the stains which bind the mind, all the stains will be removed and mind will be totally free. When the mind is removed of all the dirt, then the mind will display its true nature. You're getting it? Like the water, when you remove the dirty elements, pollutants, then the Mulamota River manifests its true nature, which is so pure and so clean. That is the true nature of the Mulamota River. Like as your mind, true nature mind is so pure, so clean. Just remove the dirt and it will manifest. So I'll say, for example, like say that, okay, let's say this clock, let's say this clock enter light. This clock and the light, two of them are side by side, and both of them are covered in dark, covered under the vase. One vase, second vase. And outside there's no light. There's total power cut. It's midnight, no light source. But one is a clock. And the other vase inside is Hey, light. You're getting it? Light. Now, say, well, as long as the two are covered by the pictures or the bars, you don't see which has light, which doesn't have light. Now remove the picture which covered the clock. Removed it. Do you see the clock inside? No, see that it's dark. Pune people, they see this. I see, yes. That's amazing. There's no light, still you're saying it. You don't see this. Whereas the second picture, you remove it and you see that there's light coming out. Yes. Why the clock is not coming out to become visible to you? And why this light is becoming visible to you? Why? When you remove the two pictures. Why? Very quick, to save time. Nature of the light is to illuminate, to spread. Whereas a clock, it does not spread like this. How many agree? Good. Likewise, our mind is like this. This light under the picture, it does not demonstrate, it does not spread because that is blocked by the picture. You remove the obstacle, you remove the picture, then it displays its true nature. It just spreads everywhere. This is your mind. But don't just believe in me. You're getting it? Don't just believe in me. We have to study more how our mind is not like the clock in the picture, how our mind likes the light in a picture. You remove the picture and the light illuminates everywhere. That is the infinite ease. The light is trapped in this vase. Remove the trap and the light will manifest its true nature with it. Complete ease. It flows freely across everywhere. That's the true nature of mind. When that is experienced, you feel there's no obstruction. Because there's no obstruction, there's nothing to obstruct you. Therefore, you feel the total freedom, free. No obstruction means you're free, totally free. So no fear can create obstruction. You become fearless. And also that, so the fearlessness, there's nobody to obstruct you, create fear in you, so therefore you feel the total freedom. And then also that your mind spreads freely everywhere. That is the infinite happiness. That's the purpose of life. But don't just believe in me. Take this information and keep analyzing it and to see whether it makes sense or not. Okay. Then next part is how to differentiate between thought of mind and thought from the brain. Okay. So one thing is that for the time being, thought. What is a thought? Anybody, what is the thought? What is the thought? Self-talk, answered voice, accumulated memories. What is thought? What do you think? The words. Okay. Now, what I would suggest is that these are all beautifully explained, articulated in the Buddhist psychology. And then, given that you're all somehow connected with WCCL and the Mahayana Buddhist psychology, applied Mahayana Buddhist psychology and ethics. So somehow you're connected with this. So therefore, it is your responsibility to make sure that this treasure of knowledge about this mind, you have to study this. Take maximum advantage to learn this. And this is all secular. It is nothing to do with any religiosity. It's purely secular. So the point is that, let's say, what is thought? It's so beautifully explained. For example, say, look, in this small hall, I asked what is thought, say, 10 different people give answer, 10 different answers key. You're getting it? It's very simple. Thought, you have thought, I have a thought. We all have the same thought, but we explain it differently. And we even don't know how to articulate it well. So in actuality, it's very simple. So these are all the wisdoms of the past. And if I explain this, you will say, that's true. This is thought. Okay, let me quickly go in this direction. What is thought? So, okay. Just check. What did I do? What happened? I tapped the table and a sound came out. You're getting it? Okay. Now, do you hear the same sound from my table? Why not? Because I'm not tapping it. Okay. So the point is that for your ear to be active, for your ears to be actively, oh yes, I could hear the sound of him banging the table. It should be the external sound which I create. In the absence of this, your ear consciousness doesn't get the information. So therefore, you call it as I don't hear anything. Okay. Now, do you remember? Can you recall the sound of the table? Can you recall the sound of the table? The sound that I made, I banged the table. Can you recall that in your mind? Can you think of that? Okay. Is that real sound or imaginary sound? It's not a real sound. It's an imaginary sound. You're getting it? It's an imaginary sound, which means that some image of the sound comes to your mental consciousness. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Some image of the sound. Huh? Yes, it's a memory. Say, let's see, image of a sound. We can call it as a memory of a sound, image of sound. Okay. So can you have that? Okay. That image or the memory, is that the real sound or it's just an imaginary? It's not a real. It's not real. It's that like these say like your mind is mimicking the real sound. It's not real sound. Okay. Now, what is the thought? Thought is any mind. Okay, I'll give you the assignment. Okay, let us think of a beautiful rose flower. Don't look at the flower. Let us think of a beautiful flower. Think of that. Okay, so meditate on the rose flower. Meditate on the rose flower. Okay, now my question to you. Raise hands who likes to give this answer. The question is very simple. What came to your mind? I said, meditate on the rose flower. What came to your mind? Quick. Somebody, so just raise your hands. The lady over there. A red rose came to your mind. Here, thought of a red rose come to your mind. Okay, what's your name? Mrinalini. Okay, Mrinalini is very poetic. So I asked you to think of a rose and the smell also came. That's amazing. Thank you. Over there. Okay. Yes, over here.
Thinking about rose and meditation.
Okay, the rose came to mind and pleasant feeling is involved. Very good. Okay. So I know that so many hands are coming up. Now let us see from all the answers given by then when these questions are asked, I don't think that okay, so let me see what he has to say, all the others, it's just waste of time. Don't think like this. More the people give the answer, more your brain will be activated. Richer your mind will become. This is so precious, listening to others' answers. You're getting it? Okay. In fact, I would agree with all of them, but you may find that they give different answers. In reality, it's one answer. I'm not poetic. You're getting it? Oh, we are one. No, I'm not saying that we are not one. You are different. I'm different. Right? Day after tomorrow, I'm leaving. You will have to stay. We are not one. So somebody says, no, we are one. We are not one. We are like one family. That is possible. We should be very realistic. So The point is that we all agree to the point. All the answers seemingly so different, but putting down, we see that we can see them that they are coming to the same point. Let's say that what happened was that the some image of the flower came to your mind. You agree? Image of a red flower, image of red rose, and along with the flower, fragrance, imagining fragrance coming, and then not imagine, then you say a pleasant feeling also involved. You're getting it? That's all the people who give the answers, different answers, seemingly different answers. They're all saying that this image came to your mind. It's true. What do you call it? Thought. What do you call it? Whatever. Some image came to your mind. Yes. Okay. That image, is it a rose or not? It's not a rose. It's an imaginary rose. You getting it? But what did I tell you? What did I tell you? Hey, Pune girls, right? Meditate on rose. I did not ask you to meditate on the image of the rose. I did not ask you to meditate on the reflection of the rose, the image of the rose. You're not serious. Pune girls, you're not serious. Be serious. Okay, let's meditate on the rose. Okay, I give you 10 seconds. Let's meditate on the rose. Think of the rose. Now tell me, what came to your mind? What came to your mind? Hey, Varsha, image of the rose, the gentleman over there. Word rose came, the image of the rose didn't come to you. No, okay, nothing. Okay, it's just a word come. Okay, so I did not ask you to think of the word rose. Word rose is not rose. You agree? So I did not ask you to think of the word rose. I did not ask you to think of the image of the rose. But the reality is that, just check. Reality is that there's no way, you cannot escape thinking of the image of the rose. To think of the rose, you have to think of the image of the rose. Image of the rose will invariably come to your mind. Meanwhile, associated with that, the word rose will also come. You're getting it? So that mind, which is supposed to be thinking of the rose, but have to go through the image of the rose. You're getting it? A mind which thinks of the rose through thinking the image of the rose, that is known as thought, which you call as a thought of the rose. That is a thought. A thought is a mind which engages with its main object, which engages with its primary object through the image of the object. That is known as thought. You're getting it? For example, what is this? You will say, this is a flower. What is this? This sound of the table. So these, you don't create the image. It comes to your senses directly. So these minds, which are aware of the flower, which are aware of the sound, these are not thoughts. These are direct perceptions. These are direct perceptions. What are the thoughts? Say, the thoughts are those minds which engage with this primary object through the image of the object, or technically speaking, through the generic image of the object. This is a technical word. That image that comes to mind is known as generic image. A thought is a mind which engages with this primary object through the generic image of the object. Which means that I asked you to think of the flower. I did not ask you to think of the image of the flower. I said, think of the flower. Meditate on the flower. And then the image comes. Image is not a flower. But you cannot meditate on the flower without thinking of the image of the flower. You getting it? So your mind is thinking of the flower through the image of the flower. That image of the flower is known as generic image. Any mind within you, for example, nostalgia, or think of the future, anticipating for the future. All these are thoughts because they use a set of generic image. They cannot get to the object directly. So these are thoughts. So thoughts are all mental states. All mental states. You're getting it? These thoughts are all mental states. These are all part of the mind. All these thoughts are part of mind. And what I call as a part of mind, for example, say, when it's a mind, some of you may have, some of the knowledge, consciousness, mind, they're different. Right? Many of you have this mind is an English word, it's not an Indian word. Consciousness is an English word, it's not the Indian word. It's not Hindi, it's not Marathi. We borrowed these words and we use them differently. For example, like, okay, raise hands. What is meant by attachment? Anyone? Quick, to save time. What is attachment? Okay, no one. So the desire to have something, affection, obsession. Okay, info. Okay, now let's listen. Look, this is your interpretation. This is your interpretation. But don't feel it bad. I don't mean to offend you, right? The same word can be used in different contexts. You're getting it? Same word can be used in different contexts. I'll show you the same thing and you will be fascinated. And you will, okay, believe it or not, you will laugh at me. Not me, you will laugh. There was a monk teacher and a monk student. Monk teacher was from the old school. Old school meaning? No internet, no computer. And the young monk was from the new school. The internet. Then what? Instagram, Facebook. What else? Reel. Right? Okay, so from that age, and the young monk, he was confused. So he sees that his teachers always meditated, no mobile, no computers, always meditated. And his friends, they were all with Instagram. Did you see this? If you don't watch it in 24 hours, it'll disappear. It's very important, right? Otherwise, the world will collapse. If you miss it, the world will collapse. You should not miss this. In 24 hours, it disappear. It's very important information, right? So this is his word. And the teacher's word is meditation, no internet. So the young monk, the disciple, young student, the monk student, asked the teacher, Venerable Sir, are the monks allowed to use email? And the teacher has no idea what email is. So the safest thing for the teacher to say is that you can use, you can use email as long as there's no attachment. Why are you laughing? I said, you're laughing, you're going to laugh. Why are you laughing? Is it correct or not correct? The teacher, he said that, yes, of course you can be, but he has no idea what is that email. So the safest thing for the teacher to say is, you can use it as long as there's no attachment, right? Okay, how many you use the email with attachment? You sense? We all. You're getting it? We all. So why you are laughing? Because you see a contradiction in using the same word in two different ways. You're getting it? Attachment in a sense of obsession, and the attachment sense of desire. And so for the verses, attachment in the form of file to be attached with the email. These are very different. Same word with two different reference. So therefore, this is where we require the openness of your mind. Openness of your mind. Say, don't impose your definition of the word. The moment somebody says consciousness, don't impose your definition. You're getting it? You should maintain an extremely open mind, be a good listener, and to have the interaction, discussion successful, don't impose your definition. Listen to what the other person is referring to. You're getting it? So if the student is not so smart, then in future he will never attach files. Saying that my teacher said that don't use emails with the attachment. Right? So he would keep sending emails without attaching files.
Whereas if a smart student, then he will keep attaching the files. But what the teacher said is very different. Have no obsession. Attaching the file doesn't indicate any obsession. You're getting it? So says non-smart students, they will take it literally. They will not, and then it can become an ism. Right? It can become another ism. Or according to our tradition, you can use means without attachment. This is our tradition. You're getting it? So then in case if you have any file to be attached, you just send it as a letter, not as an attachment. As a letter, because this is our tradition. Right? This is not tradition. It is your stupidity. Yeah, and then you impose your stupidity on your tradition. So this is what happens to many of the today we call it traditions. Okay, so with this in mind, so okay, why I said this? Okay, consciousness and mind. So when I use the word consciousness, when I use the word mind, it may incorporate what somebody else used as a consciousness, not referred to mind. For me, it may be also a part of the mind. You're getting it? Or the attachment which the guru, which the teacher is referring to, does not incorporate the attachment in the computer sense. You agree? Okay, so this is where the reference of the labels, what the other person refers to when used to use a particular word, don't be too rigid. You have to be very open in your mind. Say, maintain a very open mind to understand what the other person is referring to. So, okay, having said this, say for example, when somebody becomes enlightened, say some people call it a Turiya state. Turiya state, right? Say such amazing experiences are there. And these experiences, they all are the manifestation of your true nature mind. When certain the bondage or the constrictions in your mind, the stains are removed, then you could mind the mind to feel expansiveness and quantity. And these some saints describe as a Turiya state or enlightened state, and so forth. Okay, so and there's another question: how to be realistic about the prayers and aspirations? Okay, so there was this question. Usually, I don't talk about the prayers and so forth in the academic settings. So, how do you relate this to the mind? So, the prayers and aspirations with the work. Answer is it depends. It depends on the individual. So depending on your, finally, your mind has a capacity. At the moment for us, the mind and the physical body, these two are very closely interwoven. Your mind and the physical body, these are very closely interwoven. Say a damage happens to your brain, your mind is affected. You're getting it? Whereas which means that we employ the gross mind. As the mind becomes subtler and subtler and subtler, it becomes more and more independent of the physical body. So where somebody is training to activate these subtle and subtle minds, then these prayers, they can be extremely effective. For the ordinary people, you pray, or may the Gaza war stop. Please, may the Gaza war not stop. 100% not stop. May the Ukraine war stop. It will not stop. You're getting it? It will not stop. Be very realistic. But then how does it, then what's the use of that? At least your compassion grows. Your compassion is activated. You're getting it? By being kind to the people who are suffering in Gaza, people who are suffering in the Ukraine. By being kind, when you say these prayers, your compassion is being activated. Your compassion activates more than you talk to other people out of empathy for the people who are suffering there. And others are affected. This is like a ripple effect in your way of contribution to them. So this part, when you become really, really, really say good in your spiritual practice, where you can activate this subtle mind. Then it becomes more and more independent of the body. Then this mind has the capacity to influence your prayers, aspirations, and really influence the environment around you. Okay, there are very interesting anecdotes. I don't want to go too much into that part. Otherwise, again, we start with the being very objective, realistic, and we end up into, again, blind faith. Okay, I don't want to touch too much on this part. Okay, so next. 12:30 or 1? 12:30. Okay, 12:30 we stop meaning for quick Q&A. Okay, good. So now what we do is that we discuss this part, distinction between brain and mind. Why this distinction is very important is that to speak about rebirth, if there is rebirth, then our body does not have any role to play. So, and that too in the domain of the empirical reality. You're getting it? Empirical reality means something you and I can easily experience on that level. Let's not bring the esoteric, something which we cannot experience, or there are some higher levels and so forth. I don't reject, right? I don't bring them here in this context, right? Do I believe in such things? I do believe, but I'll not mix up what is empirical reality and what is your personal belief. Don't mix up the two things. Okay, so here is on the empirical realities. Empirical realities, if there is a rebirth, then your body cannot be the basis for the rebirth, because the body your body is going to be cremated or buried, and it will become the food for other life, the other lives, the plants or the other animals and so forth. And if at all there is a rebirth, it should be your mind. That's right. If there is a mind, then this mind should be distinct. Entity was distinct from the body, including the brain. So therefore, the brain and mind dynamic, what the brain and mind paradox. What is that? Brain and mind is to one different. This discussion becomes very important. So what this morning what we discussed is that what is brain? What is mind? So this is what we have discussed. Now, the next thing. Okay. Okay, these are little technical things. Sometimes it can be a little technical. Bear with me. Bear with me. And those who are the senior students of Ashish and Zubinji, for you you'll find it very interesting. For beginners, you may find it a little technical. Don't give up. Okay. So as what the Professor Eric Kandel, he said in his book, In Search of Memory, that the mind and the brain, number one, the first hypothesis, there's no mind. Second hypothesis, there is a mind, but the mind is the emergent property of the brain. When the brain dies, the mind disappears. This is the second hypothesis. So now we need to go into the deeper analysis. Usually, generally speaking, I would say that neuroscientists, they would not go too much into the logical assertions or the philosophical assertions, so forth. They would rather be more happy with the tangible objects. What we discussed yesterday about the three kinds of phenomena. What are the three kinds of phenomena? Anybody remembers that? Evident phenomena, slightly hidden phenomena, very hidden phenomena. And science touches the evident phenomena and the part of the slightly hidden phenomena. You're getting it? Don't think that science explains everything. And also don't underestimate science. You're getting, we have to know exactly what science says. Don't exaggerate. Don't exaggerate. Don't underestimate. You're getting it? Some people say, no, all these are what the science said. It's already said by the earlier Munis, the aeroplanes. They already talked about the earlier. But in the earlier time, there's no aeroplane, to be very honest. Aeroplane came later, right? So somebody may have came up with some ideas. Ideas is not necessarily the reality. To be very honest, we should be very realistic. Don't be scared of to be realistic. right? To be very honest, even the Buddha did not create an airplane. And the Buddha, so Buddha was walking all the time. And there are stories that Buddha was flying. But Buddha was flying, but the other monks, they couldn't fly with Buddha. Now that people can fly with people can fly with the pilot. You're getting it? Thousands of people can fly with the pilot. Yes, of course. But Buddha, at the time of Buddha, Buddha made it very clear. Said that when some indications came that the Buddha was invited, Buddha Buddha did not say, "They come with me. I'll take you all to. I'll make you all fly." He didn't say this. Those people who have the miracle power, you can join me to go to that place within a very short span of time. Otherwise, it would take like 1 week. We'll have to go there right now. So those with miracle power, you join me. He said, those with miracle power. He didn't say, "Come all, I'll take you there." He didn't say this. We should be very realistic. Let us not exaggerate. You're getting it? So the point is that so these are the things we should be very realistic. At the same time, some of these concepts can be a little technical. So when we say the brain and mind relationship, is saying in the first case, the first hypothesis says that there's no mind, it's just a brain. The second hypothesis says that the mind is there, but the mind is the emergent property of the brain. When the brain dies, the mind disappears. Okay, so for this, the analysis is that for the first one, there's no mind, there's a brain, there are more analysis coming. And then for this, so where there's a mind, which is emergent property, when the brain dies, the mind dies. So here, they say the deeper analysis is that, say, the mind and the brain. So it talks about the substantial base for mind if it's emergent property of the brain. Let's say the brain and the emergent property. The brain is the first moment, and second moment the emergent property comes. So there's a temporal gap there. There's a temporal the difference. The first moment is the brain, second moment is the emergent property. But it doesn't mean that the brain is not there in the second moment. The second moment of the brain is there. First moment of the brain, second moment of the brain, third moment of the brain continues changing. So during the second moment of the brain, the emergent property of the first moment of the brain in the form of the mind manifests. If that is the case, then the second moment of the mind, what is the basis for that? What is for example, let's say I can see the flame. I can see the flame. Flame is the light. So this light, there should be some substance there. For example, like carbon dioxide or oxygen, carbon. These substances should be there, and then it takes the form of the flame. You're getting it? There should be some basis there. Likewise, if the mind is the emergent property, the mind comes out of that. What is that substance on base of which the mind manifests? What that substance? So these the neuroscience they did not really explore, because for them they want to see something very tangible. Okay, so this is if this substance you cannot pass it, then which means that there's a mind there with the substance, not the brain. It is in time, temporally speaking, the two exist in two different times. The brain and whose emergent property manifests in the form of the mind. These two in two different times. So with the second moment, what is the basis for this? The mental activity. What is that basis? So that substance. That substance, if you cannot pass it, there's a brain, because the brain is the one which gives rise to that, which emerges in the form of the property. So what is the substance? So if you cannot posit substance, then you are left with no option but to say that there's a mind different from the brain. This is a very important position. Okay, then the next is a very important topic about those are back. Can you see? Okay, Albert, read what I don't trust. I want you to read so that I'm sure that you are seeing it. Wonderful, thank you. So which means that all of you can see that. Okay, why I'm a little worried is that if you cannot read, if you don't see what is on the screen, there's no point. Then it's total waste of our time together. So distinction between the artificial intelligence and the human brain. Human brain is again a material thing. Artificial intelligence is also a material thing. So what's the difference between the two? This is where we really need to. These are the things that we need to really explore. The first is that say, do you agree with me that okay? First, let us give instead of the AI, let me say computer today, a computer, and the AI I'll just a little later. The computer versus a brain is like a computer. How many agree with me? A brain is like a computer. Yes, a brain and a computer. One difference is that the computer, you always need an operator. You agree? You always need an operator. And how many of you need an operator? Your brain. Somebody morning comes and then press your and then your brain starts working, right? How many of you need that operator for your brain? We don't need. But your brain is also a machine. The computer is also a machine. Both are material machines. But one requires one indispensably, one invariably requires operator, an external operator. But your mind, your brain doesn't require the operator. What is that operator? Without the operator, the computer cannot operate. So, but your mind, your brain operates without operator. Both are machines. If you think seriously, this is a big question. So this question will be resolved if you say that for you, there's a mind which is operating. For your brain, there's a mind which is operating. So therefore, you don't need the external operator. And if you don't come up with this position, your mind is you are always in the say a fix, always in an uneasy state. There's an explanatory gap. Computer needs operator, your brain doesn't require operator. While both are equally physical, material things, computing system, why does our mind does not require to operate? This is a very serious question. Okay, the next is free will and determinism. This is a big discussion. Free will and determinism. Okay, how many of you ever thought about this? Free will is a very complicated matter. In a sense, how many ever thought about it? Very good. Okay, I must be like 23, 24, or 25 years old, or 26 maybe, 25, 26 years old. And one of my teachers, who was a brilliant psychologist, philosopher, and who was highly respected by all the monastic scholars. He was authority in these subjects. And I used to translate for some of his American students. One day, in those days, emails just came into use for the public. And one of my teacher's students, there was one lady, American lady, and one day she sent an email to me to be forwarded to my teacher. And the email said that her husband happened to be a physicist. I don't know what's my card. Always meet with people somehow connected with physics, putting with the ladies whose husbands are physicists. And her email said that I was always insisting my husband to become a Buddhist. And her husband is a physicist. And one day the husband said that I will be happy to become a Buddhist right now. provided you are able to give an answer to one of my questions. And she thought that, okay, with Buddhism, and her husband doesn't know anything. I've been following Buddhism for all of these years. So yes, what is the question? He said, Buddhism accepts the law of karma. Yes. And Buddhism also accepts free will. Yes. How do you see the compatibility of the free will and the law of karma? Law of karma means what is happening today is because of your previous karma. Cause and effect. Determinism is the air. And how can you account for the free will if you believe in the law of karma? Give this answer to me, and I will become Buddhist right now. She has no answer. But she is very confident in his teacher. She started to mail his teacher. What's that? Question into email thing. I read it. I was happy. Now this is the right question which I need to know. The answer to which I need to know. And then here the teacher is the right teacher who can give the answer to this. With a great excitement, I printed this question. I went and rushed to my teacher and said, sir, this question comes from this. And I was anticipating for an answer. And the teacher listened to me. I translated into. And what answer he gave? He said, Dorji, write some answer. Okay, in a way. So what I'm sharing with you today, these 3 days, in a way, greatly contributed by this question. Greatly contributed by this question. Not all, greatly contributed to this question, because that my quest started since 1988. Because this the lady, what is that? American lady doctor who gave a beautiful presentation on neuroscience. Sorry. He's from Pune, not from outside. The one who is calling me is from Pune. I'm not responsible. Pune people responsible. They know that I'm having class, still they're calling me. Not a young one. It's like my age, I know. But I'll not disclose who that is. Okay, so this is a big question. So what is this? Free will versus determinism. If you believe, okay, now why this topic I brought it here is the material reductionist approach and the holism, approach of the holism. Okay, so in this connection, it was 2019, I was in Israel for a conference on consciousness. And as I mentioned this earlier, that the conference was organized by a very senior, respected neuroscientist on consciousness. So he brought a neuroscientist friends, colleagues, to talk on the consciousness from the brain perspective. Then psychologists, Buddhist psychologists, Western psychologists, the other Indian psychologists, they were all people coming up with their own thoughts. And then there was one lady neuroscientist. She suddenly, in her talk, the topic of the free will, another topic, just her discussion, it rolled down to, somehow it slided down to free will. The moment it slided down the air, she was bombarded with questions from the floor, saying, neuroscientists, you believe in the reductionist approach. You don't believe in a separate entity as a consciousness or a mind. It's purely brain. If it's purely brain, how do you explain free will? Because if it's purely brain, it becomes purely physical. Do you agree? If it's pure physical, what Albert Einstein said, as Albert Einstein, he was against the concept of the randomness. Quantum mechanics came up with the concept of randomness. And Albert Einstein said that no, that God does not play dice. God does not play dice. It doesn't mean that he believes in God. He's just putting it metaphorically, saying that things don't act randomly. Things don't act randomly. There's a full physical law which governs the universe, which means that cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. In a way, Albert Einstein is more inclined towards determinism, deterministic work, rather than say rather than what, like believing in the free will. Okay, so the point is that if if there's no mind, it's purely the brain, pure material thing, you cannot explain the free will because it becomes purely physical, and the physical things should be explained purely on the basis of the physical law of cause and effect. Cause and effect means already determinism. So free will cannot be accounted for. This is a big explanatory gap if you believe that there's no mind other than brain. So these are the nuances, contemplations, which mean you engage in and to really sink these concepts into your the psyche. Let them sink into your psyche. Gradually, they will sink. It's not that easy. So now the question is, same question arises to any philosophical traditions. Only to Charvaka, they are very easy. They say that, okay, they say if things are random, there's no reason. Things are random, no reason. This is Charvaka tradition. And then you can push them with different questions. And if they cannot answer, they don't mind. You're getting it? You will just point to the internal contradictions, so they don't mind. You said it's random. Okay. So for them, seeing is believing. Charvaka tradition. Seeing is believing. If you don't see, no need to reason. Reason doesn't make any sense. You're getting it? And even if I end up with a lot of contradiction, let it be. But what you said is purely abstract. It's not seeing. So only if you see, we believe. This is the approach. Otherwise, say this question, free will versus determinism, this is a big question to many of the philosophers, philosophical traditions, religious traditions, philosophical traditions. This huge debate amongst the Christian, the philosophers. Even if Christian, the monks, Christian scholars, monk scholars, they were debating on this. And many of the Christian monk scholars, they were actually ostracized by the Christian groups for them questioning God. If you accept God, where's the free will? All these debates were being thrown by such Christian thinkers. Actually, they were monastics. They were Christian monks who were asking these scholars, monk scholars, asking these questions. So this is a big question. For Buddhists, this is a question. Jainism, this is a question. All forms of Hinduism, this is a question. How do you explain this? Free will versus determinism. We believe in law of karma. It falls under the category of the determinism. At the same time, we see that what you do is in your hand. If you do good, if you follow the instructions of the God or Buddha or whatever, then you will succeed. But you have to follow that, right? And I don't have free will. No, don't look for excuses, right? Which means that you accept the free will. At the same time, you accept the law of karma. So how do you see the compatibility of these two things? This is a huge discussion. Okay, so if you're interested, we have to do tomorrow. I'll be happy to address this. But don't wait. You have to think yourself first. Think over yourself how to resolve this from your point of view. So whatever you believe in, whether you believe in something or whether you think that you're convinced about something, ask these two questions. Whether the conviction that I get or the belief that I have, does it tell me the free will or determinism? If determinism, how we account for the free will. If it's falsehood, the free will, how do we account for law of karma? So this is a huge discussion. Okay, but one thing what we can say for sure is that if you don't, if one does not, if one doesn't include the concept of the mind, it is purely reductionist approach taken by the neuroscientists today as a physical material things, you can never explain free will. This is for sure. You can never explain free will. So it is only way by which the free will makes sense is you include what is known as the mind. And mind, when I say mind, it can include what say the many traditions they talk about the consciousness that can be included there. You're getting it? But without inclusion of some Asian entity there as a mind, non-tangible entity, if it's purely reduced to the material, the entity, you cannot account for the free will. And if you don't account for free will, there's a problem. There's a problem. For example, say if somebody is involved in a crime, okay, is there anybody who's related to law? LLB, LLM, anyone? Okay, yes, over here. Shweta. No, just not my point. Somebody from background in law, study of law. In study of law. Shweta, anyone else? Okay. So why I'm saying this is that, for example, if somebody is somebody is arrested for a crime, and the lawyer okay, Shweta, you tell us more. The lawyer can lawyer can fight saying that my client is the culprit, my client, his mind is insane, means he is crazy. So he did it not voluntarily. You're getting it? He did it because he's crazy. He's not in his sanity. And if he's able to prove that his client acted this act of killing through insanity, will be exempted to a great extent. Shweta, you agree? Yes. Is there any technical term for this? Huh? Defense of insanity. You're getting it? Look, exact word. You're getting it? So what I'm saying is that, which means that this person does not have the free will. This person acted out of insanity, not out of free will. But someone who's saying you acted out of free will. You're getting it? So therefore, if everything is deterministic, if there's no free will, then everybody should be exempted. You acted out of a previous cause, out of your insanity, not out of your free will. Then no court cases. You're getting, but the court cases are there. It's a reality. You cannot define this reality. You cannot define this reality. So therefore, if free will is rejected, all these are the community practice. What happens in the community? So these we have to give up. But in reality, the community will not operate, will just cease to operate effectively if we deny all these concepts of free will. Okay, these are the problems. Okay, so we have another 20 minutes. So before I go further, no, so instead of going further, questions. Okay, there are the two questions here. First, let me entertain that question. Okay, if possible, yes. Okay, I'm seeing all the online participants also. Okay, the question over there, Mike, please. Okay, it's fine. Yes. Yes, just be. Yes, if you can combine. Say it again. We can just if you can combine the two, the free will, the karma. How? Okay, yes. Like the child not studying at all, and the mother says, if you don't study, you will fail. What if this child doesn't study at all, but doesn't care? Always have a Facebook, Instagram, and Reel, and finally fails. And mother says, you fail. I told you, you're going to fail if you don't study. What do you do, mom? This is my karma, right? You choose not to study out of your free will, and then you fail, you blame on karma, right? Okay, but I'm looking for the answer where I'll say if you accept the law of karma, how do you accept the free will? You're getting it? So this is the very important question. Okay, this is more somebody who abused the concept of karma because of not knowing the concept of karma, right? So let's bring somebody who does not abuse the karma due to his or her good knowledge of the karma. Okay, any other questions? So what you are saying, what's your name? Shreya, what Shreya is saying is that I think I'm doing out of my free will. In actuality, is actually karma. Okay, which means that in a way you are nicely in a nice way you are saying you're rejecting free will. You're getting it? So the point is that let us not decide yes, no, this, that, and so forth. Think more. Think more. Finally, what is good philosophy? Good philosophical thought is a thought which embraces all these concepts which are functionally applicable in the real world without contradiction. You're getting it? If you still see contradiction, which somehow there is contradiction with the conventional world in this way or that way, your thoughts still needs to be more refined. Okay, lady here.
Somebody from this side. How to that? Somebody emergency you and you come out of the water, start walking the land, and came out. Involve coordinated.
So somewhere there's a field came which defined the cause and effect. This is what I'm saying? Yes, yes.
In the cause and effect, only cause and effect, life was very kind of black and white. But every life form, I think, inherently would have they would have some divergence.
Okay, my question to you is, do you see any contradiction there? Even if it is like 5% contradiction between the two, you're getting it? Say, you may be able to bring them together like the unified field theory, right? Albert Einstein, it says that Albert Einstein spent a whole number of years to bring about the unified field theory, which he did not succeed. You're getting it? You're trying to bring the two theories together, right? Do you see some inconsistency there? Okay, so no hurry, no hurry. Keep exploring. These require a lot of thoughts. Okay, let us not just obsess with this question. Free will determine, free will determine. Let us not be obsessed. Any other questions? Over there, the lady over there. Okay, still free will. Okay. Okay, yeah, the lady here, yes. Okay, so okay, so the anybody, for example, what's your name? Sanita. Sangita. Okay. So the same, some people, your thinking may be more intellectually more sophisticated, some may be less sophisticated. It doesn't matter. And when somebody gives an answer, let's be nice, gentle. Listen to the person well. And then if you disagree, it's fine. If you disagree, articulate your thoughts. How you disagree? You're getting it? So particularly when somebody gives an answer, you see if you agree or disagree. If you agree, that's fine. If you don't agree, then you must have some reasons not to agree with the person. So for example, like what the Sangeeta said, say the karma and the free will, there's no contradiction. So in the process of karma, yes, tell me. Okay, let's all listen. Karma creates a certain situation. Situations, your free will. Okay, let's say that let's say that somebody says, hey, you should now stop, it's time for lunch, right? So that is a cause, karmic cause, to create a situation where my mind feels a little disturbed, right? Okay, disturbed. So a situation created by this person. And then how I react is my free will. This is what I'm saying. Okay, same, how I react. I react in a very calm way, or I react in a very disturbed way. Why I can't react in a very disturbed way? Because that, my previous cause, my mind is not trained. There was a cause which determines how I react in a disturbed form. Or if I react in a very calm way, right? That is because of my previous course of training. I have trained my mind, which is responsible for me to respond in a very calm way. This is also deterministic. How I respond is also not necessarily in free will. It's because of determinism. You're getting it? You understand that? If you see that what the other person in what the other person said, if you see some, oh yeah, it makes sense. Think more. You don't give the answer right now. It's not that the judge court. What is that? Court in the court, Shweta? In the court, everything has to be decided today. Not necessary. Think more. These are the foods for thought. Okay, the lady over there.
So I know something like there's some undergoing things that we have to do. Until the time, you
So why you do not do it? Okay, why you do not do that? Because I'm lazy.
Yes.
Why I'm lazy? Because previously, my parents pampered me. That is the reason for me to be lazy today. Again, deterministic. You getting it? So if you get these senses, then no need to give the answer right away. Think more. Okay, any online your questions? Okay, if not, I will then pass it on to this boy. Here. Your name? Okay, Vivek.
So if there is there should be a separate entity which has to go further.
Yes.
So in that sense, if there is a mind separate from the brain, does it depend on the mind or is it not dependent? Because
No, if there's a separate mind, is it dependent on the brain or not? This is a question. Or the mind is dependent on the mind?
no, if the mind is separate from the brain,
Yes.
to go further, it has to be totally separated.
Yes.
So, but in our case, from morning to evening, whatever the mind,
Is that from the brain?
visual,
Yes.
everything is from the conditioning, past, memory, which is dependent on the brain, the
Yes.
memory in the brain. So, if you mind, the thoughts, everything, without working, is dependent on the brain.
Yes.
So then, if the mind is totally brain, my question is,
How can the mind be
How can-
dependent?
can the mind is dependent?
Okay, all dependent on the without the brain. Yes. Okay, this is a good question. How many follow this question of the Vivek with hands? Okay. Vivek, are we with your parents or not? You stay with your parents? You live with your parents?
No,
No. Till what age you live with your parents?
18.
Till 18. Till 18, you're dependent with your dependent parents? You're separate from parents or you are dependent on parents?
At some
Till 18,
till 18 years.
you're dependent on the parents. So you're not separate.
Separately dependent.
No, till 18. Without parents, you don't get the food. Without parents, you don't get the education. Right? But now you are independent. You're getting it? Oh, still you are dependent on parents. You're separate or you are dependent on parents today?
Some level we are not dependent, but at some
So there's no contradiction. There's no contradiction. Dependent as well as independent. There's no contradiction. So you are dependent on the parents even today. You're not dependent also.
I
Okay. Okay. So before you give, okay, always make sure that, okay, keep in mind that I'm a magician. You're getting it? So whenever you pose a question, make sure that this sword is not a double-edged sword. It doesn't, it should not hit you. You getting it? So when you say something, it should not hit you back. Right? Okay, next question. Okay, Milanji. I hope no double sword. No, but double-edged sword. Which one? I already gave the answer, and he also surrendered. Okay, Vivek, you explain this later with the lady, right? Yes, look at his face. He's very, yes. Okay, Milanji. Okay. Okay, for the time being, let me not be in the trap of the controversy. You're getting it? I don't want to go into the controversy. I don't touch these areas, God, and so I don't touch. You're getting it? So whereas something empirical you touch, I'll be very happy. Something not empirical, I'll not touch. I'll not touch, not reject, not accept. I don't touch it. Because this can end up into controversies. No point. Okay, Akbar.
So, I want to ask you, concept of dependent origination suggests that everything, including a thought and behavior, is pre-determined. So, is there any question of free will? Not even critical, but
Okay, so things are already very clear. Things are very clear. In what I'm saying is that, say, thus far, I'll give the real life example of the question posed by the physicist to the lady, to his wife, saying that if you believe in free will, if you believe in karma, in other words, dependent origin, as you are saying, if you believe in the law of karma and dependent origination, where is the room for free will? You're getting it? This is a question I already asked. So, say the if you did not understand this question, meaning that what the physicist told the wife, then you can continue to ask questions. Otherwise, things are very clear. You're getting it? Okay. Maybe last question. Yes. I wish I have done this topic a little late. What questions are given on this free will determinism?
Right? So how compassion helps me visualize
Think of compassion. Okay, okay, Lakit, I'm a little free from the free will debate. Thank you. Okay, the question is for the online participants. The question is, okay, online participant, by the way, did you hear the question? You did not.
No,
The
Geshe.
question, okay, the question is your name? Sangeeta. Okay, so the question from Sangeeta ji is that if you practice compassion, tears come, which means you have a pain. So how does it help? In a way, we don't want the tears of you don't want the tears, you don't want the pain. And you practice compassion, again, it adds to the pain. So in what way it helps, or in other words, what's the solution to this? Okay. After this, there is one book, extremely precious book. In fact, I would say that we should be very realistic. Somebody is a Buddha, okay, I'm following Buddhism, and then going to rituals, blind faith, rituals. This is just pointless. If you really appreciate the Buddha's teaching, if you're a Hindu, remain a good Hindu. If you're a Muslim, remain a good Muslim. A Jain, remain a good Jain. Meanwhile, learning Buddhist philosophy. For example, I oftentimes say that you can enjoy pizza. No need to become Italian. Enjoy pizza. What's wrong? So therefore, this question is so beautifully, effectively, and logically explained by Bodhisattva Shantideva in his book. These books are treasure. Learn them. It's all common sense. There's no religiosity here. So therefore, I don't really like the religiosity part. I don't like that religiosity part. I'm more keen on something which has the consistent, logically consistent concepts. So these books, Professor Mahesh, okay, we are now doing the question answer session, and I know that you'll be so happy with the question answers. Okay, so the point is this book, A Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. This book, and this book is so precious. You must read this, and this can be a real counselor, your counselor. It can be your counselor, a lifelong counselor. This book is so precious. It can make you a self-therapist, your personal therapist. You can become your own therapist. This book will help you. And here, what it says that compassion. Compassion means you think about the suffering nature of others, and then you feel the pain. So there, it can help us in many ways. Of course, it brings the pain. For example, like sometimes they say when we have tumor, we go for surgery. So nobody wants to even have a small cut, but the surgery is a big cut, open heart surgery. So these are big, but sometimes we need that. So it is for the greater benefit, long-term benefit. So the point is that it says that contemplating on the suffering of others, it actually it has many benefits. One, say that these sufferings that others are going through, that I'm going through, that others going through, these are the results of our own negative karma. So we will be encouraged not to engage in the negative karmas. For example, like say abusing others, or like let's say embezzlement, or like cheating. All these things are nasty practices which can harm others, and these can come back on you. So therefore, I should not engage in these nasty things. And was that to stay away from these consequences, the pains, opposite of which is the joy. And the joy is the result of the virtue. You find so happy to practice virtues more by thinking about the suffering of others and suffering yourself. So meanwhile, like a surgery, your compassion increases. Your compassion increases. Immediate, His Holiness the Dalai Lama said that you may have an immediate, say, the little bit of disturbance in your mind, which is like a pain, like a tears. But yesterday we talked about skillful compassion. Skillful compassion. Compassion directed by wisdom. If the compassion is directed by wisdom, it's not just compassion with of rendering solutions to the problem. That comes from the wisdom. When you see that there's a solution, indirect solutions, direct solutions. When you're able to know the solutions out of compassion, then you look for the solutions, and then you offer the solution to the being, and the problems are solved. There's such a joy rather than the pain. So this is known as skillful compassion. The whole biography of the Buddha Shakyamuni, so which most likely either this morning, this evening, this afternoon, or tomorrow morning, we'll do. I will include this verse, the biography of the Buddha, presented in one verse by Acharya Dharmakirti in 6th century AD. So what he said is that I will just say this, and you will see the wow, this is amazing. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Skillful compassion. What he said was that, the verse of salutation that he composed for his text on logic and epistemology. What he said is that the one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings. The teacher, Sugata, protector, to you and me. That's what it says. Let me explain this. Say, this is the Buddha Shakyamuni's biography. So what he did, you have read the Buddha's biography. He left the palace at age 29. Why he left the palace? Because he was not getting food, or because of such things? No, not at all. Out of compassion, he left the palace. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit all the beings. Motivated by, meaning the driving force for him to leave the palace is driven by altruism. Seeing that there's so much of injustice is happening in the palace, seeing that wars are happening in the kingdoms, wars happening, people are being killed, and children becoming orphaned, and the ladies, they just become like what? Widows. So much of pain there. And he thought that if I become the next king, this is not the solution. Look at my father. He's already king. If I become a king, the world, the pain stops. Then there's only my father's king. He should have stopped the pain. He himself is in pain. It's not the solution. So therefore, he felt the need to look for an alternative way. So he left the palace, barefooted. He was a prince. Barefooted, he left everything. So motivated by altruism to benefit the sentient being. Sorry? Okay, let us not mix up the two things. You're getting it? Okay. So when I'm doing these things, if you bring all these concepts, you will not get anything. So therefore, the point is that out of compassion, he left the palace. Then what did he do? He kept crying? No. He was looking for the solution. So the teacher, second line is the teacher. Sugata. Teacher is the that the solution that he has to teach to the world so that the world's problem can be solved. He did not just kept crying. He just not kept crying. The solution. That's the skillfulness. That's the wisdom. He's looking for the wisdom to solve the solutions, to solve the problems. Solution. And the solution that he found, COVID vaccine, once you found, what should we do? Human trial. You have to subject this to trial. Don't just say, I've found vaccine and then you market it. No, it has to be subjected to trial. So he experimented it on himself to see how effective the solution is. He experimented it, and then what we said is all problems are rooted to ignorance, and ignorance is removed. When ignorance is removed, all the miseries and tears start. He experienced the total bliss of the purity, Sugarda. So with the experience of Sugarda, then he so confidently went out to protect the beings that made him the protector. So this is known as the skillful compassion. Good? Okay. Time out. Yes, time out. Okay. Professor Meiji, so we're done now. Okay, now we'll stop. Okay, I will chant this Buddha mantra once more, and then we will retire for the lunch break. Age doje shaye rizo chon shenge mito yenge ponjo ba 세제 자와르바 제베구 샤예게보 엘라 찬세로 오모니 모니 마하모나에 소하 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 오모니 모니 마하모나에 소하. Okay, thank you. Offline, online. All this.